Ryan, thanks for showing up today.
Good afternoon. Absolutely.
Yeah. You have an interesting background. You have an interesting life just in general. Like it's like fascinating just learning about you. I've met you a couple times now, and just the things that you've been involved in are quite crazy.
It's pretty vast. No, I have. I've been involved in a lot of things through my life. I've been here 52 years on this earth. It's quite, when I look back at all the things I've been involved in, all the places I've been, some of the things I'm not too happy about that have occurred in my past, right? But I've been through, right? I mean, we all got that in our past, and there's been a lot going on.
I feel like that we all have something. If we haven't done something in our past that we're not ashamed of, like we're not learning and we're not doing things and we're not experimenting.
Yeah.
I think the more we do in our past and fail, the more we learn from it. And so I feel like when you find successful people, oftentimes they have riddled past because they've got all this energy, let's say, and they need to get it out, and they get it out in bad ways when they're young. And then all of a sudden they figure out how to channel that energy towards something good.
No, and that makes a lot of sense. And that's, I'd have to say that's pretty much the premise of what I've done. I mean, at the end of the day, I've always been a go-getter. I've always had, ambition to succeed, even if it was succeeding in the wrong things, right? At a certain point in life. It's just, I've always wanted that. And so it is about channeling your energy in the right direction. So, and once you learn to do so and you change that mindset, everything, life's about a mindset, right? If you don't develop your mind to be strong and to overcome things, you're never going to be strong and overcome anything, right? You're going to stay a weak person and live a weak life and have a lot of weak things surrounding you, right? It's just the way it does go. So mindset and channeling energy is extremely important. So, and I feel I've learned how to. Anyway, there's a documentary, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, called The Secret. Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't heard of it.
Oh my God. Okay. Bore yourself and watch it, right? Because it's actually a boring documentary, but it's so intriguing. Then once you watch it again. Then once you watch it a second time, make sure you hit it the third time to pick up everything you missed on the first two times.
What's it about?
It is about channeling your energy. It's about putting your suggestions out to the universe and actually taking the steps towards what you want out of life. Now, when I was told to watch this by a good friend 14, 15 years back, he handed me that's when CDs were big, right? DVD, I should say. Handed me the DVD, and I went home and watched it a few more times because it was very boring to me. But after I watched it a few times, I'm like, I'll be dang. I've been doing a lot of this stuff in this documentary for years already. I've been doing like 70% of what they're saying. I didn't even know there was like an art or there was a science behind it. All I did was perfect it after I watched it. And the way life changed after that was absolutely unreal.
Well, you spent 3 years in prison?
I did. Yeah.
How did that?
1995 to 1998.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's when I started my entrepreneurial skills. I'm still curious, right? I love to experience all avenues of life. I like to experience, right? No matter what that means. It could mean all different things. I just like to feel the experience. Mm-hmm. So as a child, 15 years old, I became very curious about life and everything life has to offer out there, right? Unfortunately, what has occurred, what did occur, or fortunately, I don't know how we want to look at it. Mm-hmm. I got into bad behaviors, right? I started doing the drugs, right? I started getting introduced to drugs, and I knew I shouldn't have done them. I knew that, right? I did, and that led into other things. So that was at 15, and by the time I had turned 18, I had been arrested several times by then, just in the wrong things. And then I was 21, end of my 21st or 22nd. I was 22. And I'm getting arrested again for possession of an illegal substance with the intent to sell and distribution and things of that sort. I was already on probation when they came to my home and actually raided my home. It wasn't even my home. I was living with my mother at that time, which was kind of odd because they come in. My mom's at the store. My brother and my sister, they were having a home built. My brother and my sister. My brother and my sister-in-law and my niece, their 2-year-old child, were living there as their home was getting built. I was 22 years old. I was still there living with my mother. She needed a roommate. Not me. She probably would have rather had a different one. But yeah, they came and raided that day, and it was the most horrendous experience that I to today. It's just surreal with that day.
You hear
the events that occurred.
You hear a lot of people. There's a couple things I assume you can do when you're in jail. You can either just continue with your bad motivations and say screw the system. Or you can kind of just change and you can really become a different person and again, channel your energies in a different way.
You got it.
What did you do? Like, what was your mindset?
It's exactly what I did. When I first got in there, it was crazy experience. I mean, I couldn't even believe I was there. There was not one time ever growing up I said I want to be in prison when I grow up. Not one time I ever said that, I promise. It just happened. And and so when I ended up in there, I went to trial, awaited trial, didn't take a plea. I ended up getting found guilty on a couple of the charges, beat a few. Ended up getting sentenced to 3.25 years, and ended up in the Coronado yard in Winslow, Arizona. And it was devastating. I'm telling you, just trying to figure out what my next steps were. Here I am in prison, and I got a couple years left to still do. I was sitting in jail for multiple months, waiting to go to trial. Right, I couldn't get out because I was on probation when I ended up getting arrested. So I had what's called a probation hold on me. So I was unbondable. I couldn't bond, which was devastating itself again. I get in there, and after about a week or two, I started to meet some people in there, and I started to realize who the bad people were. And, they were trying to approach me to do bad things. And I just refused to go that route. I stood very strong in my beliefs when I got in there and what I wanted out of my life moving forward. And I was not going to let anybody influence me. And I proved that so many times with the approaches from people that I got in prison. It was absolutely unreal. So I just decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to become healthy in here. I am going to begin to work out. I am not going to smoke because I was a smoker before I went in. You could still buy cigarettes when you're in prison. You were able to still buy them. So I just changed my entire lifestyle. And the transformation that occurred over the next couple of years that I was in there was absolutely unreal. I went from, sitting in county jail waiting to go to trial to gaining quite a bit of weight, right? Not really working out. The amount of issues that you have in county jail are unreal as well. And then when I got to prison, I came out a different human being. I came out with goals, a vengeance, an inner anger that I even allowed myself to get there, but also a respect that I was there because I was like, you know what? It changed me to who I am now at the moment. And I feel stronger. I feel more ambitious. I just felt a different direction coming out of my life. So I chose to take the right path. I would sit with people in there and we would have conversations. I met a lot of people in there, obviously. And it was crazy the amount of people that are in prison. You ask them, what are you going to do when you get out of prison? And you know what their answer is? Go commit a crime immediately and probably end up back here. Literally, that was the answer. Like from so many people, I'm like, that's your life, huh? That's impressive. That wasn't my answer. And when I got asked that, I says, I'm going to make something of myself. I'll never be back. I will never set foot in a prison again.
What was the mindset of those people? Do you think they were just stubborn? Because
stubborn, just career criminals, a lot of them. That just didn't have the what's the word I want there? The love for life, right? I recognize clearly that I'm here for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. I recognize clearly that every one of us that exist are here for a reason. We were given this life by God. I'm not here to waste it, right? So a lot of these people just don't have that mentality in there. They don't have a love for Jesus. They're just in a different mindset, different place. Maybe their upbringing, maybe this, maybe that, whatever. Everyone can still change. It's just the frame of mind that a lot of these people are in. And so many people in there just enjoy crime. I mean, that's why they're in there, and that's what they speak about. All the conversations about it. Every time I talk to anybody, it was never about crime. It was always about the good things I'm going to do moving forward. Always.
What was in it for these criminals? What was the joy or the excitement or that thrill of committing these crimes?
I think it was camaraderie. A lot of these guys looking for camaraderie. You know what I mean? And
you form a brotherhood with other criminals.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
I think you hear,
and in their own little way, it gives them a purpose. That sounds strange, but it's
I think
true.
You hear a lot of times, they just don't know any better, with like upbringing. And I'm like, well, No, because everybody grows up with an inherent, I know right from wrong. Maybe now, maybe you ignore that, but
Yep.
everybody knows.
Everyone knows.
Like the excuse that they just don't know any better. You know, they didn't have that positive role model, that mentor. I think some of that is true, but to say that they just don't know any better, come on, man. Like they know.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all brought up differently. We all come from different walks of life, but we all have opportunity. Okay, maybe a little more opportunities afforded to this gentleman or this woman than this other person. But I know people that have been grew up in the most worst conditions, and they're super successful. So,
well, I feel like that's what develops a successful person. Like a super successful person has gone through some of the worst things in life. I think those go together.
Yeah.
Because you can really only appreciate things, the benefit of things, until you've had the opposite of them. You don't appreciate growing up in a high income home if you've never been in a low income situation.
Yeah.
Because that's just what life has always been.
Yeah.
You need that contrast.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely.
Did you grow up a Christian?
I did. I grew up a Catholic, actually.
Catholic,
I was born, raised Roman Catholic, right? I had I was baptized. I had my communion. I was confirmed. To be straight honest with you, somewhere around 18 years old, I began to just pull away from God. I did.
Well, I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of young people, at that age, they're trying to find meaning in life. And with that brain level at 18, I think everybody's really just trying to figure out what this life is all about. And I remember thinking when I was young too, like, oh, my parents don't know what they're talking about, all this stuff, right? And then you come around and you realize, okay,
famous last words.
They knew a lot.
Yes,
they knew a
know
lot
a whole
more.
lot, don't they?
And so I think that there's a whole cycle where you feel like you know more than your parents, and you're going to go out and you're going to prove it to yourself that you do, and then the world just starts to act on you, and you realize, no, they knew a lot about what they were talking about, and that happens. And then some people go to the extreme of like ending up in prison. Other people, just rebel a little bit. Yeah. But I do think that it seems to me like a pretty natural way of thinking as a young person coming. Yeah. About to enter adulthood on your own.
It is. Yep. Nope. I'm in agreement. I'm dealing with right now with my kids. I got twins that are 13 and my daughter that's going to turn 16, and they know a lot.
So they know. They think they know a lot.
The best is though when one of your kids, so I have going to be 22 in March, is when they come to you and they go, you were right about this.
Yeah.
And you think that, oh man, this is going to be my moment to gloat, but you don't. You just go. Yeah. I know.
I'm still waiting for that day to come.
I don't want it to. I don't want it to come.
Yeah.
I know it's going to, and I try to, both of my kids in situations. I'm like, look, I know you think I'm old and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've literally been in this exact situation. I know exactly how this plays out. So I'm telling you from a place of experience. I'm not trying to be, under thumb dad where dictatorship, you will do what I say. I'm trying to save you some heartache because I've been through it and it sucks.
Yeah.
And then they do it and you go, okay. Yeah. And then they come back, Dad, you were right.
I don't know about you guys, but I had to learn the hard way most of the time. Like I had to find out for myself that this didn't work, because it's hard when you're just hearing it from somebody else.
I've always been that guy. It's always been me.
You have to go through the pain. I always had to go through the pain of realizing I didn't want to do that again. Yeah. I didn't want to take other people's word for it. And that is if you can figure out how to take other people's word for it and really try to understand the situation and go, I don't want to be there, that's the better way to go. But oftentimes we're stubborn and we're like, nah, I think I can do it. And then you get into that situation.
And that goes, for all avenues of life where we have that mentality to where I'll just say it in business. I'm in business, I own multiple organizations. And I've been told before, like from people I do business with or customers or business associates, don't do business with this company. Don't do it. Well, I had to go find out. I'd go do it. And then sometimes it worked out incredibly awesome. Right. I'm like, see, look at how perfect. Two different personalities working together. Other times, oh my goodness, it was so bad I should have listened. Well, but got to find out.
That's the nuance about life, right? When you're, someone could say, oh, this was a terrible business relationship, and this person treated me this way. But oftentimes there's two people in a relationship, and just because one person can't make a relationship work with that person doesn't mean that you can't. So there is this nuance about it, right? Yeah. So and that nuance I always thought, well, me entering into this relationship is a different situation than you entering into that relationship. So let me see how it's going to work out.
Totally true. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it'd be a lot easier just to listen to everyone else, right? But then how would you be in life? Nowhere, right?
Well, definitely with people, I kind of give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Like if my best friend tells me that guy's a turd, it's going to carry a lot more weight than if Joe Blow goes, watch that guy. For me, it's like, well, you get a chance to prove it. Maybe this guy caught you on a bad day, and you get a chance to prove to me who you really are. And that's been done for me. So I try to do it for other people. I'm not saying I'm always right, but definitely you go, oh yeah, I probably should have listened on this one. But now I know. I know for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nope. I agree with that 100%.
It's a good point. As you get older, you learn to vet people better.
Yeah.
And some people are great people, but you don't want to do business with them. And other people aren't great people, but they're, someone you might want to do business. Like there's all kinds of little nuances that circle around these relationships, whether it's in business or in personal life or whatever.
Yeah,
so
I think your instinct develops as you age,
Right.
As you're younger, you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants. And as you start to develop instinct and, and judgment and you say, don't judge people. No. Sometimes you must judge people. It's just the way it goes.
We are judge machines. That's all we do all day long, every day.
Yeah. So I can't stand when I hear the only person to judge is Jesus or God. I get it. Trust me. When I'm at that point, I'm at those gates, I get it. But when I'm here living my life and trying to protect my children, trying to protect the people around me, trying to build a life for myself, I'm going to judge.
Well, yeah, I guess you have to define the word a little bit. Like if you mean like judge that person and his actions or whatever, that's one thing. But if it's just like, I'm going to evaluate this person and I'm going to determine whether or not I'm going to associate myself with this person, that's a totally different deal.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm condemning someone for their moral actions, that's a different situation, I think. So, but all day, every day, all we're doing is evaluating people constantly based upon how they look, based upon what they say. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can say all day long that you're not a judgmental person.
You are by
Walk
nature.
down the street of Compton or, in LA and tell me you're not judging every person on that street, whether or not that's safe and a smart idea to walk down this particular street.
Yep.
Or like right now, like we were talking about before the cameras came on, we're not judging like all the planes that are having issues over the last few weeks. How are we judging that situation? Like what is actually going on there? So we're constantly evaluating people and situations so that we can protect. It's a natural instinct that we have to protect ourselves, right?
It is.
So,
absolutely.
Okay. I want to get into you were at the Capitol on January 6, 2021.
I was.
That we're kind of rehashing this whole thing again. It's been hashed over and over for the last 4 years, but again, because of pardons from Biden. Biden pardoned all the prosecution, all the people that are prosecuting, including Liz Cheney. And Trump gets into office, and then he pardons all the people that were at the Capitol that got arrested, many who had never even faced trial.
Yeah.
So crazy times. You were at the Capitol. Let's start by asking, how did you even know to be at the Capitol on January 6, 2021?
I have, ever since Trump came into presidency, I followed him, and even beforehand, I followed him. So I look at a lot of his posts that he does, a lot of the interviews that he does. I follow him, right? So, and I'm on social media as well. I cannot actually pinpoint exactly what tipped me off to this. What I believe it was, if I can remember correctly, is it was Donald J. Trump promoting the fact that there was going to be, it's what I believe it was called a Steal the Vote rally on January 6th. I got a hold of one of my friends. I says, "Bud, I'm going to that." I says, we know, I know you know that this election was stolen from the people of the United States of America. Our president truly is not Joe Biden. He's fraudulently placed in there because massive deception occurred. He agreed. Most people, when they look at everything, agree with that. And so I was like, I got to go there and support my man. No way. I got to be there. So he decided to come as well. So, but it was Donald Trump, and I had to have been one of the interviews he was in or a post just promoting, hey, come to the rally. We'd love all the support we can get. So I had to go there.
So walk us through. You get to Washington, D.C. You were how many days? Were you there just for the day, or were you there a few days?
No, we were there for, I believe that was 2 nights we were there for. Okay. For the January 6th.
January 6th, 2021.
Yep.
So you get in, there's a huge rally.
We get in the night before.
Around the Capitol. It's not just at the Capitol, but it's all over the place.
Yeah, it started. Now it started down the street from the Capitol. I can't remember exactly where we're at, but I'm gonna say a half mile away, some big park area. Maybe it was Monument Valley area right there. But it was just a tremendous amount of people. I'm assuming at that point there was already people at the Capitol too, right? There was people everywhere. I mean, I don't know. There was so many people, well over 1 million people. So yeah, we show up that next morning. I don't remember time exactly that the rally started. I'm going to say maybe it was 11 a.m. So we're there, freezing cold that day. I mean, holy Lord, I was totally underdressed, but I was there to support my man. And so he's doing a speech. A few other people talked, and I remember Trump, basically stating, "Hey, we're going to start our peaceful march towards the Capitol, and let's just let our presence, be known. We're going to be on the outside of the Capitol. We don't want them certifying the vote today. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully Mike Pence steps in, or So it was just there, like in support of our president, and just let the country, let the world know that he has a lot of support. It was supposed to be nothing violent, okay? There was nothing violent at the rally that morning. There was nothing violent at all going on. Yes, things seemed a little odd. Some of the people there, we just talked about judging and evaluating. We're evaluating people and inevitably judging some people because some people did not seem like they belonged just because of their presence of how they were there, whatever, just didn't seem right. You can just feel something was wrong.
Were they dressed different? Like,
and there were a lot of them were dressed differently. I don't want to judge, but here we go. They look like thugs. Some of them, just thugs. Yeah. Straight up look like thugs. Right? You can just feel the difference. You can see the difference, but you can feel it.
Yeah. And were they obviously agitating, or were they just kind of trying to keep a low profile? Like
at this point, just keeping a low profile. I mean, they were just scoping out. I believe that there was a lot of plants in the crowd. I believe that's a lot of paid plants.
When you say paid, you're talking about paid by the federal government, like the FBI?
Monetarily,
who knows, right?
Who knows where that money? I think so.
Three-letter agencies.
This things just don't add up with a lot of stuff going on out there. So, but you can just and then other people who were just Donald Trump haters, right? So many people just don't like Donald Trump, and they don't really have a good reason for not liking him, but they just don't like Donald Trump. But I believe a lot of it was promoted to be there. So as we did our march to the Capitol, freezing, like I said, cold, everyone's peacefully, nobody's screaming, nobody's waving sticks and yelling, nobody's cursing people out. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of us peacefully walking that way. As we approach the Capitol, or we get there, I mean, there's already a tremendous amount of people there. I mean, obviously, there's a tremendous amount of people ahead of me. I'm assuming there's already a tremendous amount of people at the Capitol that didn't even go to the rally. They were just at the Capitol around it. And that's it. Everyone's, out there and, just not much chaos going on. I'm on the backside where I think there was a lot of scaffolding. They must have been doing some remodeling over there at the Capitol. Then the front side was you had the big steps going up. I wasn't on that side. I was on the backside. And it was a tremendous amount of people on the backside. I'm sure the same amount on the front. And I don't know, supposedly had everything all barricaded. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, everything seemed pretty open to me.
So the government knew. I mean, the government knew that you guys were coming. Like they could, if they thought that there was a threat, they should have been prepared, right?
Well, they were supposed to have,
Well,
Trump said, he said, we're going to have a lot of people here.
Yeah. Hey, you should probably get 10,000 National Guard troops.
Thank you. Why don't we bring 10,000 National Guard troops?
Right.
Well, Pelosi didn't think that. Why would she want to do that? Then she couldn't enact her plan. So there was definitely a lot more to the story. So things, so they knew we were coming. They knew there was going to be a lot of people there that day, and they chose to do it without any security available or any, not like Trump supporters are out there to cause issues. But when you get that many people together, issues
are going to happen.
Why don't we just prevent what could possibly? I mean, let's have some common sense.
And there's going to be some idiots, right? There's going to be some idiots on the Trump side too. Like,
yeah. There's some idiots that are Trump supporters for sure. Absolutely, yep. So then that's kind of what happened. We're all on the outside. Next thing you know, we're moving forward. The whole crowd's moving more forward. I don't know what's going on because I'm like, I couldn't even tell what was going on up ahead, right? So we're moving forward, and you see people now starting to do crazy things. I was in a situation to where I'm just watching everything going on. I don't know, just everything's just eerie feeling now. You can just feel it, you see it, you know it. Things aren't right. There's weird people coming up, speaking to you, talking nonsense stuff, trying to coerce you to try to get to the Capitol doors, to get inside. And, you know, I'm looking at people going, what do I want to go run through the Capitol for? What am I going to do in there? What difference am I doing in there than out here? I'm not doing that. But all this weird just behavior, we got approached. My buddy and I got approached by gentlemen. We got approached several times, but this is the one situation that really stands out. He comes walking up. Guy was tall. Must have been 6'3", 6'4". He's a tall guy. Fairly decent sized guy. And he's looking down at me. I'm looking up at him. And my buddy's next to me. And he says, can you guys walk me to my car? And I'm going, walk you to your car? There's 1.5 million people out here. Where's your car? And I'm thinking to myself, why would I?
It's a weird question.
Weird. Well, I said, that's what then I asked him, I said, why would I walk you to your car? He said, well, I'm scared. I'm nervous. I'm just nervous to walk there. And I'm like, look how big you are. I'm like, what the hell? What are you nervous about, man? So I'm just going, this doesn't add up. And I'm looking over at my buddy and he's looking at me and he's looking at him. And now the guy, reaches to the back of his backpack and he pulls out these 2 batons, right? And he's like, well, you take these. I'm like, I'm not touching those. He says, no, they're just a flagpole. I got them cut in half. They're split in half. Like they screw together. I says, why don't you just take them with you then? Why would I want them? I don't want those.
Well, if you're scared.
Maybe you want those for protection if you're scared. Well, let me tell you what was going to happen. I don't have the proof in my back pocket. I can't. Let me tell you what was going to happen. I was getting ready to be set up.
He wasn't wearing gloves, was he?
No, he didn't have gloves.
Now your fingerprints are on him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you know what? He did. He had the black gloves on. He was all geared up. Yeah, he was all geared up.
It's cold, right? So no reason to even question that.
Yeah, man, I wasn't prepared for that day. I didn't have gloves.
When you said geared up, he was wearing 511 tactical pants and
there were so many
issued
people
boots
in weird tactical gear that day.
His badge was
absolutely unreal. Yeah. Things didn't make sense at all. So when it was going to go hand to me, I was going to grab them, like you said, fingerprints on them. I was going to hold these, and then I had them in my hand. And probably what was going to happen next is an agitator was going to jump out from the crowd and approach me. Well, me being a human being and now being caught off guard, I would have turned towards this agitator and I would have had these in my hand. Then the video cameras would have started to roll, right? Mm-hmm. Now I'm the agitator. Now I've done something wrong. Mm-hmm. Now look at this Trump supporter attacking and trying to attack this man with these batons.
Right.
What I did was doing nothing like the sort, right? But they only want to give you that little video of that much, right? Not showing anything that happened before, anything that happens afterwards. They only want to take that one picture, that one moment, right? To make it look like I'm the problem. And that's what was going to happen. I guarantee it.
Of 1 million people at the Capitol, he chooses you.
Just randomly walking by. He's probably walked up to 10 other people that day and screwed with them. And all day long, weirdness was kind of going on that we were around
They're
the
just
Capitol.
feeling people out.
It's very strange. So, yeah.
I mean, there are strange people out there, but that's a very strange way to act.
Very strange way to act. Walking up to a gentleman that's, about a foot shorter than you, asking him to walk you to his
and
car.
then handing him 2 sticks.
Yeah. Was this guy wearing Trump gear?
No, not at all. No, okay. He had that agitator looking gear on. Okay. He looked like a, if I'm not mistaken, camouflage pants, black shirt with a black jacket, black gloves. Just didn't look right.
Yeah.
Just didn't, and not saying that that's not a normal way to dress. I mean, teach their own, whatever. There was a lot of people dressed like him that were doing the same things that you can just see that was not proper, right? And there's a lot of people trying to coerce you to move towards the Capitol, and they didn't have the gear on that we had, I mean, we're Trump supporters, we're all trying to love each other, and these guys are just consistently pushing us to do the wrong things. So something was going on. And then when we're there, what I found very disturbing to me is we're all on the outside and we're just kind of hanging out at this point, right? And there's people everywhere. They're singing the Star Spangled Banner. I mean, there's a lot of patriotic stuff going on, screaming USA, USA. Everything that Trump supporters do because we love our country, we love the people there. We're patriotic, right? But the mood did begin to change at some point. I started to notice as I began to back off from the crowd, I started to notice all this commotion going on because up by the back doors of the Capitol. And now there's people becoming more violent. And I don't know why they're becoming more violent. I don't know what's going on. But at the exact same time this is all occurring, we hear that somebody was shot inside. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that began to get into the crowd, and it got the crowd a little riled up. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's the agitators getting riled up that are agitating the Trump supporters. If everyone's starting, I don't know. I wasn't, in the heat of all the chaos that was going on right up by the doors on the front and the back side. So then what occurred is once this Ashley Babbitt was shot, we didn't know who it was, but we knew somebody got shot inside. It kind of traveled throughout the crowd. At that time, I'm assuming that somebody made the call that enough is enough. Because now we're outside for hours at this point. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, no helicopters flew in, no buses came pulling up, no nothing. Just all these Capitol Police in their riot gear. I mean, a lot of them, several hundreds of them. It was a lot of them. Just started appearing out the back doors. I'm assuming they were going out the front doors too. I was on the backside. So hundreds and hundreds of Capitol Police appear out of nowhere. I don't know nobody knows where they came from. They obviously were inside this whole time. I mean, there was a lot of them. It wasn't just a couple. So I'm assuming they were held off.
Yeah.
Until the moment of.
So you think they staged him inside and then wait until the right time to?
This is all speculation. I don't have the proof, but yeah, absolutely.
Because nobody saw him come from outside. They just
they didn't. They came from the doors.
I wonder why they would do that. Maybe that's a better position to be in if you have to react. And I guess when someone gets shot, it's time to calm things down. I mean, I guess if Ashley Babbitt got shot and you guys heard that and it started to, because I could imagine that would cause some stress among the people outside. Like they'd be pissed. Like we're just hearing that one of the people that's here got shot. That would probably be one of those triggers where, okay, enough's enough. Like these people are probably going to get pissed at that. And we're going to get some people who do things they shouldn't do.
And I agree with that. But you know what's crazy? Before Ashley Babbitt got shot is there was already all these Trump supporters running through the Capitol, causing all this chaos. This has already been going on inside before this gunshot incident, right? So through all the videos that have been erased from the internet, they're out there still. There's still a lot of videos, you can still find them, of showing the peaceful people walking through the Capitol during this day. I mean, there was a lot of peaceful people walking through there. I'm assuming the agitated scenes were just that. They were agitators paid, and they were set up, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Did some Trump supporters jump into that commotion? Oh, of course. Of course that happened, I'm sure. But nothing made sense with anything. They were already in the Capitol. They should have brought the Capitol Police out sooner to push the people back out if that's the case. They should never let it get to the point of where it got to. They allowed it to go way too far, and apparently seemed planned.
Well, I've seen some video, actual, stuff that they reviewed, the J6 committee, and there's a line of Capitol Police just kind of lining up against the wall, and people are just walking by them. They're just sitting by the wall. People are walking by them. Hey, what's up, Bill? Hey, what's like? There's no.
Yeah.
If 1,500 people got arrested for an insurrection, why was there not more damage to the inside of the building? Why was there not more like there? It's just like, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't add up.
Yeah.
You arrest 1,500 people. 1,500 people could wreak some havoc.
Yeah. Oh, they can wreak some havoc. Yeah. We're these this group of individuals that we were labeled as of some violent Trump supporters, right? There's over 1 million of us outside, right? Havoc could have occurred like at a big level. Well, it didn't. It didn't at that level, right? So I mean, there's just so much. I mean, when you look at us doing our peaceful protests for an election that was 100% stolen, and you see the protests that the Democrats did, okay. Where they're burning down entire streets, taking over entire portions of cities, people dying over it.
Dozens of people
and then
killed.
Nobody's labeled as an insurrectionist. Nobody's arrested. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Yeah,
they just do it. It's just no big deal.
Yeah, maybe they should have lit some fires out in the yard or something. That way, that's a peaceful protest. I'm told.
Yeah, right.
Lighting police stations on fire.
I mean,
is a
some of
peaceful
the
protest.
newscasters back in the day, you'd be watching on the, I got to say, Democratic stations because they are. They'd be talking about how peaceful the protest is, and there'd be a big fire behind them.
It's
just so ridiculous.
Windows getting smashed. Oh, these guys are just grabbing. They're just getting supplies. He forgot his keys.
Crazy. It's the biggest illusion ever, and the way they twist reality. It's unreal.
Yeah, it is good that we have both of those situations to look at, because if you look at all the riots, there's dozens of people who were killed in those riots in Minneapolis and Chicago and Seattle.
One insurrectionist.
I think it comes down to who's in charge and who does the current administration want to prosecute, and how do they want to spin this to the media and to the people? Of course, an insurrection by Trump supporters, that word alone is going to trigger a lot of people, right? And so if they can, first of all, withhold a ton of evidence and just say, oh, we arrested 1,500 people, and then they can spin it on TV, it sounds terrible. Yet nobody was really, they may have arrested some people, but nobody was held.
Some arrests happened,
but very little amount of.
Not 1,500 people, that's for damn sure.
Right. And there was I think there was.
There's never reported on if there was.
Yeah,
dozen
mobs
deaths.
of people. Yeah.
Mobs of people. And so it's hard to believe that wasn't political, right?
It's very hard to believe.
Similar in a lot of ways, incidents that happened within a year of each other, within months of each other.
Yeah.
That went completely different ways, I think, based upon the current administration and who they wanted to prosecute, how they wanted to spin the story.
Well, how do we define? I mean, if you just Webster's dictionary, this like take political bias out of it, and just what's the definition of insurrection? What is an insurrection? To me, that is.
I was just going to Google it. I don't know. I'm not sure the exact. I know what it is, but I don't know what the exact definition is.
I would imagine. I don't have the Webster's dictionary but I would imagine, insurrection. We could all think of like, okay, you're trying to overthrow something, government. That would be, I think, what most people would just assume.
And if I'm not mistaken, that one person was even charged with an actual crime that was called insurrection.
Right.
Right.
So to label this like
just
an
a label.
insurrection is like a bit harsh because none of these people had. Are you really pick a country? Africa, Venezuela, Colombia. Pick a country. Are you really 1,500 people going to go? We're going to overthrow this government. We're going to take this Capitol building with no weapons.
Yeah, I know.
With
right?
a couple of flagpoles. Like
You hit it.
that on
You
the
hit
other
it.
side of that door,
was perfect. You hit it
there's
right there.
hundreds of people with nightsticks, tear gas, guns, weapons, shields. And we're just going to roll up with a couple of flagpoles. We're taking this Capitol by force. I don't think so. Like that. Just I don't think so.
Yeah. No, I don't think so either. Common sense.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is it's been lost so much, and so the people hear what's being reported on, and they just listen what the media says as fact, right? And so now people are basing their decisions on their life off all this, bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a good end result. People living their entire existence based off of bad information.
And then,
Horrible.
And then we have people, and this is supposed to be America, right? We have people in prison for 4 years being held, no charges.
Some without even trial.
Yeah, no trial, no charges, no like, what the hell is going? And people are okay with it.
Yeah.
They're okay with it.
Yeah.
Well, they're insurrectionists. Well, were they charged with anything? So aren't we innocent until proven guilty in this country? Like, how can you label them something when they haven't even stood trial for this? And this is America, right? Like that sounds like some stuff that would happen in, Mexico, Colombia, Guatemala. But, oh yeah, we're gonna jail these people. We don't need trials. We don't need anything. We're just going to lock them up.
Yeah, sounds like
This is America.
third world country
we
stuff,
don't
doesn't it?
do that stuff.
As you know, you're not supposed to do that. How do they even? How does that happen?
Murderers get trials. Known murderers, they get trials.
Yep.
And these people just sat there.
Wow.
For 4 years.
So devastating. So
With
devastating.
nothing.
You picture the amount of loss that occurred in their life over the time that they've been in there,
Yeah.
right? The amount of loss with work, businesses, finances, houses, homes, a family.
There's a bunch of
my
suicides,
goodness.
if I'm not mistaken, too, right?
Life.
Oh,
That's, yep. You're right. Suicides. Yep. It's just horrible. And I had met a lady recently that, she had moved to Washington, D.C. I met her in Washington, D.C. when I went back for Trump's inauguration just recently. And she had moved there because her son was one of the people that had been locked up with no trial. Just been in there for I want to say, I can't remember, 983 days or 938 days. It was close to 1,000 days. So every single night at 9 p.m., I thought the prisoners, I had heard that the prisoners inside would sing the Star-Spangled Banner, not realizing outside every single night, patrons in support of the people inside, as well as at least one of the mothers I met, that she moved to Washington, D.C. to take part in this every single night, no matter the weather. They go sing the Star-Spangled Banner with the prisoners inside at 9 p.m. every night. It was awesome.
So the prisoner singing and the people outside singing together every night.
That's funny that didn't make national news.
Yeah. And
wonder
it's
why that
true
is, yeah.
because I met one of the mothers. She said, no, this is every night. And obviously I'm talking to a bunch of other people out there and they're like, no, this is every night. I'm like, I didn't know. I had no, wow. It was pretty special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we left off we talked about the police, the Capitol Police coming in riot gear. What happened after that? Did everybody start dispersing after that, or was
some people did that when they all started coming out the doors, and I'm going, what the heck? Where have those guys been? Looking over at my buddy, I'm like, where those hundreds of Capitol Police just come from? So they're now it's like I don't know what's going on. It got so confusing at this point because I'm watching all the front line of the protesters or the Trump supporters or whatever you want to call, and they're getting a little crazy now. It appeared to me, I'm like, that's not our people. Why are they wrestling with that guy's like attacking the Capitol Police guy now, not attacking him, but like pushing on his shield. And I'm watching like this whole line of people getting not really attacking him as in trying to hurt him, just almost a showing of like, I don't know. It just looked weird. So that's all I can say. And so now the Capitol Police are pushing people back, slowly pushing people back. And now people are beginning to disperse. Then I believe it became known, sort of dispersing through the crowd or going through the crowd that, hey, Washington, D.C. is now on a lockdown. Anybody caught outside is going to be arrested. So I think that started to get around because they called a full-blown lockdown on the entire city. So people started dispersing because of that. I did end up going back to my hotel room because it was right there. It was real close to the Capitol. And I said, I got to see what's going back. I'm back out there. I mean, is there really a lockdown? Or am I just hearing that? What's going on out there? So I walked back out again. And it's like a half-mile walk, not too far. And they're still out there, and Capitol Police are still out there, and there's a showing of, aggression. But there's not really nobody doing anything. They're just jumping around and kind of pushing on shields. That was still going on. They're still pushing them back. By that time, the crowd dispersed by more than half by that point. I maybe stayed out there another 30 minutes to see what was going on. Always the backside, never once went to the front side. And then I just said, you know what? It's just time to call it a night now. I mean, it's over. So went back to the hotel, and my God, just everyone at the hotel, just all the conversations and all what everyone's seeing and the weirdness and the eerie feeling, the people that were approached, and there was just a lot of conversation about nothing. I mean, a lot didn't make sense to a lot of people there.
I think human intuition is more powerful than we give it credit for, and so the fact that the whole time, the main theme throughout this whole thing is there was just something weird, some weird vibe, something that wasn't quite right. I think we sense that as people. We don't know how to articulate it. There's no spreadsheet that we can put it on. So people, like living in this scientific age, people don't want to believe you because, what is intuition unless you can write it on some kind of piece of paper or a spreadsheet. But I do think that type of intuition is one of the most honed skills that humans have. And so when you see something that's not quite right, I mean, anything in your life, you can understand this. When something is just slightly off, you know it. You know it.
You know it. I mean, yeah, we all have that, right? And, you can be naive and gullible as all hell, but at the end of the day, you can always kind of feel, right? And there was so much throughout that morning, and then when the afternoon began and all the chaos began, and unfortunately, God bless her, Ashley Babbitt died. You just, the whole time you knew something was off. You just knew it. It was so easily seen. Then all the video that came out immediately afterwards that were all, the world's watching, right? And then immediately all that video disappears off the internet within a week or so. I mean, that's suspicious, isn't it? Why would all the videos start disappearing? Isn't this freedom of expression, freedom of speech? Isn't it? Why would they take all that video? Well, there's reasons.
They don't want you to know what really happened.
They don't want you to know, right?
And they hide behind, well, this is an ongoing investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, they did a fantastic job of getting people, even still to this day, going, you shouldn't have pardoned them. They're criminals. They're like, people still rolling with that whole, insurrectionist deal. And it's like, cool, they never got charged with anything. You don't have any video proving that it's all gone.
Yeah.
You don't have any video proving that this person was actually here when you say he was here. And there's a lot of people that just ran with that narrative. And if you say otherwise, well, you're a conspiracy theorist and you're a denier. And
then just to prove it all, to be honest with you, and again, I don't have the proof. This is all speculation, which I believe to be accurate from millions of us throughout the world, not only this country. Then they ended up pardoning all of the January 6th committee, right? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the whole January 6th
Biden did
committee
that.
has been pardoned.
They didn't even name them. They
just pardoned them.
Just pardoned,
They didn't
blanket
even
pardon.
get convicted for a crime, by the way. They didn't get convicted for a crime. He pardoned them for future crimes.
And past crimes.
So,
potential crimes.
It's hard to understand that. And then on top of that, before that even happened, why did the January 6th committee destroy all the evidence? They destroyed a ton of evidence.
Yeah.
And so it's just nothing seems to add up. So
there's still a lot of suspicion around these pipe bombs at the RNC and DNC. When you were at the Capitol, did you hear anybody talking about these?
Never
These
once.
are from what I understand, simultaneously going on, right? Like, from what I understand, one of the theories that I heard, it was kind of a decoy. This was what I think the left is trying to theorize, that there was some right-wing guy who planted these bombs as a decoy to get the police over there looking at these bombs so that people at the Capitol could do their insurrection. Did you hear? Is there any talk about that?
Never once. I'm telling you, the people I spoke with before they started getting, weird, right? I mean, and even as it was getting weird, you can feel who's kind of who. Man, everyone was real cool with each other. Everyone was just there to support their president. They were happy to be there. Some of us flew very far to get there, right? And so there was nothing. I didn't speak to anybody talking about a ploy, about some type of deception that we're doing in order to be able to enter the Capitol. No, there was. I didn't even know anything about an RNC pipe bomb or a DNC pipe bomb planted at the buildings. I didn't even know nothing about this until I got visited by some people.
A couple of your closest friends.
Yeah. Until I got visited, and they're the ones who asked me the question. I said, I don't know nothing about that stuff. But no, when I was there, nothing of the sort. Yeah. It was a lot of good camaraderie with some good people, to be honest with you, but there was a lot of bad ones in the crowd.
So you flew out the next day?
We did. Yeah, the next day it was on complete lockdown that evening. And the next morning, we woke up, got in our vehicle, and hit that airport.
So that night when you went back to your hotel, you were probably with a lot of other people who were at the Capitol that night.
Correct.
Like, there was probably some level of debriefing going on. I mean, was there a lot learned as you guys were chatting at the local bar?
We all felt the same way, and there was a lot learned. There was different instances that occurred to different people, and so when you start to add all these, like too many instances that occurred, right, with individuals, he just can't help but together that there was something really off with today because there's too much that occurred, right?
You talked to anybody that was actually in the Capitol?
There was a gentleman that came running by me at one point. Don't ask me why he stopped when he ran up to me, but he literally ran up to me. And I don't remember the guy's name, brown hair, freaking mustache, beard. And I remember him stating to me, "I just left the Capitol." I'm like, "And what'd you do in there?" "We just walked through it, and there was just a lot of people, and it was awesome. You should have been in there." Okay, I'm glad I wasn't in there. And then he just kept running, but he was running, and they literally stopped when we were walking by each other. We had that quick little conversation, which lasted about 10 seconds, and he kept running.
Running
that
from
was the
something,
only
or just
guy.
just
I
running?
have no idea, but he was running, and that's the only person I spoke to. If he was even in the Capitol, don't know. But that night, when I spoke to anybody else, there was no talk about anybody being in the Capitol. I don't even know how many people truly ended up in there. I don't know. It was a couple hundred.
Couldn't be
Was
that
it a
many.
couple thousand? I don't really know. I really don't. I have no idea. No clue. But, there's all the videos of them opening doors and people walking through. So I don't know. But
makes you wonder what those Capitol Police that were there guarding that night, like what their mission for that night was, because they clearly allowed some people in access, and we're basically like tour guides.
Yeah.
So were they told to do that? Like what? I've never heard that answer. Like why were they allowing all these people who were supposedly insurrectionists to enter without any force into the Capitol?
Yeah.
I wonder that.
Yeah. No, I wish we had that answer. And hopefully the day is going to come where this investigation is truly finalized by the current administration, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was a little bit crooked with the last one. And we get our answers because there's a lot of answers that we need with things that have occurred over the last several years that, I just think we the people need to know the truth. It's time.
Yeah. There's been so much in the last 4 years that raised so many questions, specifically pointing to the corruption of the government, that no wonder why everybody's skeptical of the government. No wonder why nobody trusts anything the government or the mainstream media says.
I mean, we still don't have the exact, truth behind where COVID came from. Now there's documentaries out there that are showing you where it came from, but we still don't even know that exactly, right? So anyway, we don't need to get on that one, but
well, no, I mean, it's a good point, because that's the lie of all time. Like, that's the biggest lie that in our lifetimes. And I mean, I can't even think of a bigger one off the top of my head.
The first 4 weeks, I was nervous. Then after that, common sense kicked
right.
in.
I think everybody, the first 4 weeks, everybody was on the same team in a way. Like, it was not politicized.
Yep.
But then after the first 4 weeks or so, you enter into April timeframe, May, and it got politicized. And, it was like the Republicans were the anti-maskers and the anti-vaxxers, and the Democrats were wearing 3 masks in their car by themselves. So.
Yeah, or on their bicycle.
Yeah, 14 days to flatten the curve.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Turning into 3 years.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? Yep.
Okay, so you went home, and then you were visited by some men in black
business associates.
Yeah.
Business associates.
Yeah, well, it's just kind of again, we have this intuition, you kind of feel. And that evening, when we went back to the hotel, my Facebook account got shut down, right? Because I was doing posts of being there in Washington, D.C. And I don't know the exact reasoning of why it got shut down. I don't know if FBI was in cahoots with the social media platforms. I don't know if they were in cahoots with the airlines. I don't know what, where, how, when. But all I know is my account got shut down for several hours. Started to come back up. It was all scattered and weird. I'm like, whose account? Is this even my account anymore? Whose is this? And then by the next 2 days later, I want to say, not the next day, 2 days later, everything was fine with my account. It was just missing it was missing all sorts of videos and pictures and all sorts of stuff, right? So they gave me back my account with a lot of things missing off of it.
All the stuff from that day.
Yeah, that day. And I'm definitely that day.
Yeah.
And the day before. And then I tried to see in the past, and it seemed like even stuff from the past were gone, but I don't know. Couldn't put that together. So I'm like, that's weird. I says, oh God, is the FBI coming to my house? I didn't do nothing wrong. This is just strange. So I would, just tell my friends randomly and family. I'd be like, I know they're going to come visit me. I just feel it. Oh, they're not coming to your house. Why would they come to your house? It was over a million people there that day. Why would they come to your house? I just feel it. I'm a boisterous guy. I'm loud. I don't know. I just feel like they're coming. A couple weeks go by. Nothing happens. I'm hearing though in the media that, I'm hearing that FBI is visiting people. Oh no, they're arresting people. There's been this many people arrested now. And I'm going, oh my, what is this turning into? We're out there supporting our president. And we got to, now we all got to worry about being visited from the FBI. Like we did something wrong when we did nothing wrong. So one day I'm out front and I'm just having a beer. I'm having a beer with my neighbor, 2 neighbors actually, right across the street from me. And our kids are all on our bikes. They're cruising around on the bikes. And there's like 6, 7 kids on bikes. And we're hanging out. And I'm looking at this card on the street. And I'm going, this doesn't look right. And I look at my buddies and I'm like, I'm telling you, that car right down the street. And they look. I'm saying, that's the FBI. They're like, it's not the FBI. That car does not look like an FBI car. Because it was, I can't remember, cream colored, tan colored, smaller, not a black. You picture FBI, you picture, I don't know, just the men in black come see you or something, something than this car, right? So I'm looking, I'm like, no, I feel it is. I think that now there's 2 men on the front seat. They're just sitting there. Why would they be sitting there? Anyway.
They're either gay or the FBI.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Gay dudes
What
hanging
is
out,
really going on? This is the corner they really want to do that on?
Yeah.
So, but it was,
if they're FBI, they're probably both.
Yeah, probably or both. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, okay, this is just strange. But we continue the conversation. And then the doors open because I'm kind of facing that way. And doors open and 2 guys walk out. And they begin to walk down the street directly towards us. I look at my buddies again. I says, now the FBI is coming. They're actually coming now. They're walking this way. They look and they say, the guy's in shorts, Tony. The other guy, they're not wearing FBI clothes.
Yeah.
So apparently there's FBI clothes.
Yeah. There's a store.
The FBI store. Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I mean, I hear you, but that's them. So they're getting closer. They're maybe 10, 12 houses down, whatever it was. And they're getting closer. And I'm like, it's the FBI guys. So I turn and I go to ask them, you guys the FBI? And they say, Anthony Cariosia? I says, yes. And they flip out the badge. They say FBI. And I said, I wanted to say, told you so. Anyway, my buddies, my neighbors, bing, they were gone. Which I would have done the same thing. So I'm looking at them. They said, sir, yeah, your name's Anthony. We know this. I said, yep, FBI. I knew you guys were coming. I just felt it. I said, I don't even know why you guys are here. Well, we have some questions for you. Okay. And so we walked across the street to my home. And they began to question me in front of my house, and just laid out, they pulled out a sheet with about 25, 30 questions on there, whatever it was. And they began to go down the questions. And by the time we got to the fourth or fifth question, I mean, they're asking me questions such as, are you involved with a militia? And I'm like, no, I'm not involved with a militia, like at all, like zero, like nothing. You know anything about the RNC pipe bomb? That's when finally, I didn't even know there was any bombs planted, right? Or the DNC pipe bomb. I'm like, no, nothing about that at all. They began to ask some other questions, and I told them, listen, guys, I'm a reputable businessman here in Arizona. I said, I'm not into all that stuff. I said, I was there to support my president, Donald J. Trump, for an election that was stolen from him and us, the people. That's all I was there for. I said, guys, can I have a minute here to go ahead and just, can I take the floor, and can I give my spiel? I'd like to just talk. I'll probably hit every answer that you have on all of those questions. Let me have my moment. And they did. And I become very passionate, right? I do. I'm a very passionate person, and my love for this country is undying. I love it, and it just grows more. And I do love Donald J. Trump. I love what that man's done for this country. I love his existence. I love who he is, okay? We all got skeletons in our closet. I don't care about any of them. I like what he does for this country and the people of it. So that being said, I took the floor, and I didn't even take a breath, I don't think, for 5 minutes. I mean, I hit everything. I just went off on, listen, this is a man who loves this country. He took care of your family, took care of my family, took care of all my neighbors' families. He's, just broke it down of why I was there. Talked a little bit about who I am as a person, a little bit of that. And by the time it was all said and done, I asked him, do you guys have any more questions now? Hopefully you clearly understand who I am and why I was there. They looked at each other, looked at me, looked at each other again. They says, no, Tony, we have 0 questions for you. You did answer them all with everything you said. And I says, do we have to meet again now in 30 days for a follow-up? Am I going to be followed for the next couple months? I mean, what's the next steps? They says, investigation is over. You are not going to be investigated at all. It's done. They says, you know what? We got several thousand more people we got to go visit. And that was it, man. I looked at them. I shook both their hands. I says, God bless you. God bless America, and God bless Donald J. Trump. And then they walked off. I went and grabbed another beer, and then the day went on. And that was that. Never heard from him again.
Never heard from him again.
No, thank God. I mean, I did nothing wrong. They really shouldn't have been at my home. Yeah. But I'm assuming, from my posts or whatever, and they just gathered up.
Yeah, but what are your posts? I mean, this is America. This is America, right? Like you're allowed to do that. Like
they were talking about me being in Washington D.C. supporting my president.
So what? You're American. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do that. You shouldn't be getting visited by the FBI.
Yeah,
just because you were in a certain place that you weren't committing a crime. You were in a certain place.
No,
exercising your rights as an American.
That's it.
And they were visiting thousands and thousands of people.
Yep. It's just a shame that I had to get wrapped up in that, for me just being a patriotic citizen, it's just, you don't want to have repercussions for going to support your president, right? You don't want to have that, but I get their side of it too, I guess, right? They had a job to do.
Yeah,
these are 2 FBI agents that had a job to do. Then their higher up said, hey, here's the list. Go handle it. And that's that, so.
Yeah.
But it was quite different.
Well, there still is a lot of question around that election. And one of the things that really bothers me, 2020 election, I should say, that bothers me is we just got through some of these hearings, and I think it was Kash Patel that one of the senators, can't remember which one, just kept asking him, well, maybe it wasn't cash patrol anyway. But one of the questions that happens a lot, that's asked a lot, is will you tell people that the 2020 election was not rigged and that it was a fair election and that Joe Biden was elected fairly and all this stuff? And to me, it's just such a gotcha question, because just because you can't, as of right now, from what I understand, there's no evidence, there's no compounding evidence that he lost, but there's so much other circumstantial evidence of how many things that went on beyond what we can actually even investigate. So, for instance, Google had a huge play in informing people whatever they wanted to inform them, to suppress anything good about Trump and elevate anything bad about Trump. Google did that.
Yep.
Facebook did that. Instagram did that.
That is a known fact.
That's a huge deal. And so I think the Democrats, they don't really want to acknowledge that. They want to say, well, where's the evidence at the ballot box? Mm-hmm. Well, the evidence is all around us. We're just not looking in the right places. I don't know what they found at the ballot boxes. I would imagine it's almost impossible to really nail down fraud when you're handing in, physical ballots or when you're mailing in ballots. Like I'm be honest, I'm not against mail-in ballots because I mail my ballot in, but I do think that there's some issues around mail-in ballots, but we have to get better at that. But the real issues to me are surrounding our social media and our media outlets who are delivering information to the people and making them think one thing about somebody and another thing about somebody else. It's insane to think that Joe Biden campaigned from his basement and got 81 million votes, which is 12 or 13 million more than Obama, who was our most popular president in recent history. It's insane to think that. 81 million. I mean, I don't think, what did Trump get? Trump was the second biggest landslide.
At that time,
I think Trump got
76 million. 70,
well, so this time he got like 76.
Okay,
76. The time before he got like 74 when Biden got 81. 2016 when he actually won, he only got like 67 million, and I don't think he's surpassed neither of them, Clinton or Trump. I don't think they surpassed Obama's total.
Tell me how Joe Biden, one of the most boring political candidates we've ever seen in recent history, got enough support.
I don't know. The guy has no enthusiasm.
He didn't even barely campaign.
I
mean, the comments were he's campaigning from his basement, which was absolutely true.
Yeah. Well, the few times he did, he went out to do a rally, if you want to call it. He had like the circle set up, and like 40 people showed up, I think.
Yeah.
There's like 6 people each circle. So yeah, I mean, he gave it hell once.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I think they kept him in his basement because he had to be sitting on a toilet.
Toilet, yeah.
So
well, they had a great excuse built in COVID, but when you look at the situation and you go, just something doesn't add up. I don't know what you're doing with trying to figure out who did wrong and prove that certain ballots were tampered with, whatever. But when you look at some clear evidence of like, this guy barely even could get anybody to his rallies. He almost did no campaigning, and he gets 12 million more votes than the most popular previous Democratic president in Obama. Something's not right. There's something wrong. And whether it's a traditional issue, which is ballots, or whether it's something new that we've never seen, which is influence, social media and electronic influence. That question that you ask, that these senators like to ask, well, will you certify or will you confirm that the election wasn't rigged? No, I'm not going to confirm it. There's clear evidence all over the place that it was rigged. Anyway, I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent here.
No, listen, I have been really boisterous about that election for the last 4.5 freaking years. So I hear you loud and clear. Okay, I know it's been stolen from us. I did enough of research myself and all these different angles. Watch enough documentaries. Watch enough about everything to know 2 + 2 = 4. Right? Everything you said is accurate. There's so much evidence, and I believe what's going to happen now is I don't know. He's just only been in office now for not even 2 weeks. It's all going to be 2 weeks tomorrow, or maybe it's 2 weeks today. And so much has happened. But now we have all this, what's what I want? planes falling out of the sky. All this
the
extra
issues,
chaos is going on now. It's going to take a lot of time investigating this and that. It's almost like so much stuff has erupted over the last 2 weeks because they don't want the truth to come out of a lot of things that happened over the last 4 years, because that takes time to get that truth and investigate it all still and pull it all together. But that being said, I do believe though that we are going to get closure to that, and we're going to see the exorbitant amount of different ways that fraud occurred in that election. It was a massive amount of different ways.
To some people, it doesn't even matter. So the whole Russian collusion, he got impeached over Russian collusion.
Big lie.
That the special investigator said didn't happen.
Never happened.
Didn't happen.
But then we got impeached over
But people still talk about, well, Russia. Oh, he's a Russian puppet. We saw that the first time. Like, no, actually, you're a democratically appointed special investigator who was a Democrat, said didn't happen. In a 2-year investigation, said, yeah, it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. But they still, so I mean,
yep.
Even if the truth comes out.
Yeah, and you hit it. Even if the truth, and that's the reality of it. You hit it on the money. They like time to go on, and then by the time the truth finally comes out, people don't care as much anymore.
Right.
I'm going to care because it's my country. And, you don't have a free country unless you have free elections. You have to have legitimate elections. When the elections get stolen from us and people get planted into different positions, we do not have a free country. And that bothers the hell out of me.
Well, I think Trump was elected because of exactly what you're saying. Truth was starting to leak through and to seep through.
Yeah.
They were trying to really put a lid on the truth. That's why you see Mark Zuckerberg coming out now. And I don't know if most people know this, but about 6 months or a year ago, he came out and he wrote a letter to Congress, I think Jim Jordan, about how the Biden administration has been forcing them in certain ways, using leverage to have Mark Zuckerberg and his companies censor the American people, specifically on certain issues like COVID and the Hunter Biden laptop.
Yeah, yep, specifically, absolutely.
So what happens is when people start to find this out, and the people who are really curious, it's always that 10% in the middle or something, that they start to say, oh my gosh, this is what's been going on. Like we didn't know this, like until finally there's been some real courageous journalists who have come out, and guys like Elon Musk who buy Twitter, and you find out there's the Twitter files that come out, and the journalists who were on that, Schellenberger and Taibbi. I mean, these guys are heroes basically, because nobody else wanted to have anything to do with that. And these guys came out, both of them lefties, by the way, but wanted the truth. They go into the Twitter files, they find out all this stuff is happening, and people start to learn what's actually going on behind closed doors that the government is trying to silence. Mm-hmm. So all that momentum starts to build in Trump's favor, and I think Trump is he's a symptom of all this government corruption and the lies.
Yeah.
And Trump is one of the few people, I believe, that can actually break this. I mean, most of the time we get politicians in, they just want to kind of pick here and pick there. I don't like this. And it's just a little like, it's kind of like a surgeon. Trump's going to come in and break the thing down, I think. And that's,
he is. And he's moving so fast, right? I mean, he's just, and he's frustrated right now because, Congress isn't approving all of his appointees, right? So he's ready. He's ready. He's like ready to start moving fast, right? And he's already moving quick. But so there's some delays that the Democrats are doing, and they're laughing about it. I think it's funny, right? No, you're hurting our country. That's what you're doing, delaying these people being approved. You know what I mean? So it's ridiculous. But yeah, no, he is a breath of fresh air. He is something that America did need, and the direction we were going after Obama took office. I mean, it began even before Obama, but the direction we were going after Obama took office, and it's just so much changed during that period. And I know he was the country's most popular president or whatever. I get it. I think it's a joke. I think a lot of people realize he was a big problem now. But yeah, that was a devastating 8 years that occurred.
It was.
It was. And then Trump trying to fix a lot of that because the American values were being taken away. I mean, we got to keep America American. And what I mean by that is anybody can come here throughout anywhere in the world. Not saying that nobody. Come here legally. Become an American legally. But let's keep it American, man. We're not taking the values and the culture of our country away. I mean, and that's what they're trying to do. Take it all away with all this DEI stuff, all this, LGBTQ, I don't even know what the things are anymore. But it just gets to the point to where I got no problem with these people, right? But why do we have to revamp the culture of America, right? Due to a specific group of people, right? I just don't think that's okay at all. We can all exist together and have no problems with each other, right? I got friends that are in that manner, that are gay or transgender. I know a few people, right? It's not the crowds I hang with, right? Not because I don't like them. It's just not who I hang with. That's just simple as that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. I just don't hang with them. I don't hate those people. I don't dislike those people. But why are you trying to take your agenda, force it down our throat? You know what I mean? I don't believe that that's okay. And it should never exist in that manner. So and Trump sees that, you know. Most of the country sees that, by the way.
If you
right?
come, if
it
you
only
come
takes
here,
the ones that speak.
Yeah,
you know
you
what I
come
mean?
here, assimilate to the culture, just like you would expect me to assimilate to your culture when I go. There's places that you go, I mean, if you don't speak the language, you're going to have a hard time. And if you don't assimilate to their culture, if you just tried to come in and say, yeah, America rules, and we're going to do things like, they'd be like, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, like our next door neighbors, man, they're awesome people. They're Mexican family. They speak great English, very thick accent. So like they're from Mexico. You know, English is a second language. You know, they got Trump flags in their yard, man. After the election, they're shooting off fireworks. And great people, but great family. They're very polite. They work hard. These are good people, right? They're not out committing crimes. They have a couple sons that are out working on their cars every day. I was changing a tire in my driveway. I was looking through my toolbox. The one son comes over. Hey, man, if you need any tools, we got a ton of tools. What do you need? Can I help you change it? Just great people. So, yeah, cool. Stay here, work, pay taxes.
Absolutely.
There's no reason, though, that if you're not a criminal, all right, come on in. But you shouldn't get benefits that, and I'll just go ahead and say it, that you don't deserve. You don't deserve them because you're not an American citizen. These are for American citizens.
You know what?
Why do you know?
You know what? Trump says it perfectly. It's based on a merit system. That's how people come in. Now, don't get me wrong. I know people that are here illegally, as right now, people, right, that I know, that you guys know people too. Some of them may not do the right things. I know some that are such outstanding citizens. Well, they're not even citizens, but they own companies here. They provide, they give back, they pay their taxes. They're not even legal. And I keep asking, why don't you go get legal? But anyway, hopefully they do end up making the choice to get legal before they get deported. But I would hope what's going to happen is they're going to do it on merit. Some people have been here for years. Their entire existence is here in America illegally, but they're here for years and they're doing good for society. I'm not telling Trump's administration how to handle it, but I'm assuming those people will be assessed and be allowed to stay. That's what my gut says. He's a common sense man. Actually, it happened with one of my friends just recently, to be honest with you. I don't want to get into details about it, but she was picked up, and very good woman, very good woman. I didn't know she was here illegally, but who cares? I didn't, it's not like I was going to base knowing her off that. Great person, owns her own company, couple companies, gives back wonderfully. And she actually got picked up under the Biden administration a few months back. And she's now back home under the Trump administration. She's now back home. So not home where she came from originally, home here in Arizona where she truly does belong.
I think everything stems from a totally inept government. We're talking about like little situations in the government right now where this person should stay or this person shouldn't stay. This person's been here for 10 years. And the whole problem, like, and we blame each other for that, blame the current administration. The whole problem is that we have an inept government who can't make a decision on how to let people in legally. So my friend, one of my best friends, he came in legally. It took him 10 years to get his citizenship, maybe more. I have two of my best friends that are here from different parts of the world. And it took them, I think, over 10 years to get their citizen. And they did it the right way. But could you imagine wanting to come to the United States, paying your taxes, building businesses, being a upstanding citizen, and like having to wait 10 years when everybody else is flooding through the border? Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't seem fair. So the thing we have to do, I mean, right now, it's so bad, you just have to stop the bleeding and you have to get people. And there is going to be some people that are maybe should be able to stay that are going to get deported. There's a lot of crap that's going to go on and everybody's going to be mad at everybody else. But the main problem is that the United States government is totally inept and they haven't been able to figure out how to get good people in the country and do it in a way that's like there's not terrorists coming in, and we're not flooding the border, but we're getting enough good people in and getting them in quick, and they become citizens quickly, as quick as possible, as quick as we think that a foreigner can become an American. And I just feel like that's the central problem here. And everybody's bickering over all this stuff. Well, this happened during the Biden administration. This was Obama. This was the first Bush. I mean, the dreamers, at some point you have to clean it all up and start from scratch, which I think is what we're doing. And then it needs to be followed by real immigration reform. That means that people who are good people who want to come to America and be a net positive for this country can get in here as quickly as we feel comfortable, but definitely not 10 years.
No, definitely not 10 years. I mean, that's too long. You know what I mean? So yeah, the system has been broken forever. A lot of systems are here in the country, but the system of immigration, completely broken forever. I think it's always been put on the back burner. Then you have presidents that come in, as a Biden, that just says, well, we're going to put it even more so on the back burner and just open up all the borders.
Yeah.
We're not going to worry about nothing with it.
He ran
I mean, God, how much crime do you want to add to our country?
Yeah. Obama ran on close on the border, though, and deportations.
Yes, that's true.
As did Hillary Clinton.
What's that?
Obama ran on, not his major platform, that was Hope and Change.
Yep.
But he ran on it.
Yeah,
absolutely. You can pull it up on Google right now. Speeches of him saying, "Yeah, we're going to deport people. Millions of people. They're here illegal. We're going to close the border. We're going to shut it down." Hillary Clinton said the same thing,
and they did. They did deport some people. Person I just spoke about recently. I know somebody kind of hit it a little close to home, right? She had the order from 10 years ago, or they was given the order 10 years ago. It took them 10 years to even pick her up. 10 years, right? So the whole immigration system is broken. These people that have been here for years, that have literally planted, their life is here in America now. Honestly, I don't know if I agree with just ripping them up and throwing them back unless they're criminals. Get them gone immediately. If you haven't done well in this country, but if they've been here for a long time, they're family here now. They actually give back to society, have companies, they work a legitimate job. You might want to give a little leniency. You know what I mean? I mean, because unfortunately it was prior administrations that were too loose that allowed them to be here. Now they've been here for years. We're just going to uproot them. They're criminal. Get them gone. I get it. But there's some people that believe that they just have the right to stay.
The problem is we've let this problem go on for so long that there's probably a lot of those people, and that it would overwhelm our system and the amount of people that we have in each department to be able to go vet every single one of those people. And that's what I'm saying. We are going to end up probably deporting people that shouldn't be deported, and people are going to end up staying here that should go. And there's going to be a lot of like nuance like that on the fringes where there's going to, the media is going to pick up the one case or the few cases where someone was deported and they maybe shouldn't have been deported, because it's impossible. We have no record of who's here at least over the last 4 years. There's so many gotaways and there's so many people that we have no idea they're even here, that how are we supposed to know?
No, that is the problem.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with what you said. That, a lot of people are going to go back that are going to be taken, deported from the country that really have established themselves here in a positive way. And it's just, it's human life we're talking about, but you're going to break a few eggs to make an omelet, right? And things are not going to go smoothly and perfectly, right?
Well, I think there's a huge difference too with, I talked to a friend about this. So you come to America, right? To understand, we fly one flag here. It's the American flag.
That's it.
You come here, you fly that flag.
That's right.
That's it. Now,
that's it.
Teach your kids Spanish or German or wherever you came from. Not all immigrants are from Mexico, but teach your kids about your culture. Don't let them lose that, right? Like if you have, some people get here and their kids are real small, or they get here and they have kids. Teach them the language. That's great for them. That's great in developing their mind and their brain, and teach them about your culture and about, Nana's tortillas and homemade, teach them all about that great stuff. That is all great stuff. But we fly one flag here. Yeah. We are proud to be American. You came here for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always found it out.
This is the flag that we fly. You're not, you don't fly your Mexican flag in your front. You fly the American flag because America is giving you
100% correct.
The benefits that you enjoy.
Yeah, and if you don't fly the American flag, it's a symbol that you don't want to be here. Go back to your country. I mean, again, I totally agree with what you're saying. Keep your culture. You don't lose that. You have relatives, grandparents from there. That's awesome. But now you're an American. So Be proud to be an American.
You can
fly the American flag.
You can assimilate to this culture and still keep your your family traditions and values alive.
There's a reason you left your country, people, right? There's a reason.
That's right.
You loved ours. So show us the love.
And it's still the number one place that people want to come.
Absolutely it is. And it better not ever change. I mean, that's what we're fighting for right now.
That's exactly
what's at stake.
That's what's at stake. You know, and it's just crazy how shallow people's minds are, because they don't really realize what's at stake. I mean, I love the debate, love to get into, you know, little issues like that. I just love it. You know what I mean? I thrive off that stuff, because at the end of the day, you know, I like to get into people's minds, right? You know, and when you do get into people's minds, that's when you truly see how little a lot of people's minds are. You know what I mean? I'm not out to rip on my fellow citizens of America, but some of them deserve it, right? They just live so tunnel vision, right? And they just don't look at anything around them. They want to take the path of least resistance always. So they're always the yes person. I call these people very weak. But I just it doesn't belong. So I love to debate, love to find out how people think, how they tick. And I love to promote, like, well, I'm always right, right? We always like to believe that we're right. I know I'm wrong a lot in certain things, but when I promote like things on politics or things on social media, when I'm promoting out to the public and not a one-on-one conversation, I make sure I never want to mislead anybody ever. There's enough of that already going on out there in this world, and I don't ever want to be a person that spreads misinformation or propaganda, right? So I'm very conscious about that stuff. So when I do speak about some of the things I see, some of my beliefs, pretty positive I'm 100% accurate.
Yeah. I know I'm wrong all the time. I mean, just ask my wife. She'll tell you.
Oh, yeah. Or just ask me. I know I'm right all the time. Just ask me.
But when you talk about America, this pisses me off so bad, is that America, like, it's not immigrants or other people that are telling you your absolute love of America and America first and your patriotism are racist. It's Americans that are telling you this now. It's liberal, left-wing people. Oh, you must be a racist. You know, we had slavery here in this country once, right? And that was terrible. That was a horrible thing. Horrible thing. We were also the first country to ever get rid of it by amendment and by war. Like half the country was like, "No, we think it's pretty cool. We're going to keep it." The other half said no, and we all killed each other over it. We're the first country to ever do that. And you're going to tell me that my flag and my love of country is racist? Like, that pisses me off. And it's not the immigrants. It's
what a great
Americans.
You know what I'm saying? That was good.
Come on,
man.
Good. Like,
put that together well. Yeah, no, you hit it on the money with that one, man. Right there. Yep. So we're just in a crossroads, and we've been in there for years, right? But I believe this now that we have this momentum of Donald J. Trump being back in. People, you know, hope and change. Obama ran off of Biden. Build back better. I still don't even know what the hell he built except a disaster and inflation. And oh my God, I can keep going. But we have somebody who runs off a platform called Make America Great Again. When he fraudulently lost in 2020 and wait, hold on a second. When he was running for the presidency again in 2020, he lost. His platform he was running on at that time, and then he realized the amount of resistance he was having by the Democratic Party, not because of the platform, but because he felt things were not going to be right with the election. Number one, he knew it. But he was running off Keep America Great. He began to run. It was Make America Great Again. When he began to run for the 2020 election, it was Keep America Great. Mm-hmm. When that started being promoted, it was a very short amount of time when he changed it back to Make America Great Again, right? There was a very short amount of time. If you guys realize that chain, he literally stopped wearing the Keep America Great hats.
Of course, yeah.
He didn't want people to come into his rallies anymore with that on. It just started to just fall to the wayside. Why? Because he needed to make America great again now, right? And he knew what was coming. He's seen it. There was I wouldn't miss one of his rallies back in those days, not one. And he would speak about it, and he knew the corruption at hand. Didn't know really how deep it truly went because it was all new to him truly at that level. Now he gets it all, right? So the game, if you want to call this, it's the game of life. That's what it is.
Yeah.
He's gonna do it wonderfully over the next 4 years. He knows it inside and out now. He knows all the players.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of outside influence from outside of this country, like the George Soroses and things of that sort, that really just want to promote the destruction of America. They don't like where we're at. They're unhappy.
When billionaires like
Power
him
thing, right?
influence politics, they're celebrated by the left. But when you get a guy like Elon Musk that comes in, Trump's just trying to let his billionaire buddies get tax breaks and take money and take. What about old George?
Yeah,
no, he's a hero to the left.
Yep.
Stupid.
Happy that Elon Musk is in, though. I mean, it was such a good thing for the Republican Party to have somebody finally step forward with the clout that he has, right? I mean, there's been others through the years, but what a magnificent thing for us. I mean, honestly, and at the end of the day, he's involved in so many different things. Yes, I know people are going, well, he's only in the government to protect his interest in his businesses. At the end of the day, of course he wants to protect his interest in the businesses, but there's so much regulation that's stopping him and so many others from doing things. I mean, I just watched some little podcast or something by him the other day when he was having the, with the rockets. They had, his rockets would end up, a part of the rocket would end up back in the ocean. Mm-hmm. Well, in order for him to have that part of the rocket end back in the ocean, he had to do a shark study, a whale study to see how it affected any marine life, how would whales get affected over this. And I'm watching this, I'm going, wow, that's crazy. Here is the world that is 70% water. We have this rocket that doesn't even register in the world, right? Because it's that minute compared to the ocean, right? And he had to spend months and months doing studies on how marine life was going to be affected as this one piece of the rocket landed in the ocean. So it's crazy the amount of regulation. It's just one example of it. There's so many layers of regulation. I'm in development, right? I develop homes right now, and I've developed a few commercial projects. You wouldn't believe what it takes to get through some of the hoops you got to get through in order to put a building up. It's ridiculous.
Doesn't surprise me.
Look at my own personal home I'm building right now.
Yeah.
You're freaking 9 months in the HOA just get approved from them, and then another 15 months in the city just to build my home for my family to live in. Regulation. It's nuts. So that's what we deal with.
Well, it's probably what set California on fire. One of the reasons why they couldn't really fight that fire. There's just so many regulations, and there's so many little things that we've taken our eye off the ball on. I think politicians, they get comfortable, especially like California, for example, because there's no real competition. It's a one-party state. They get comfortable, and then they take their eye off the ball, and they start looking at other things like DEI, things that don't really produce results, things that if you're not working on the fundamental things that a government is supposed to do to keep their citizens protected and provided for, you end up focusing on things that don't matter that much. And that's when we ended up getting DEI. We got DEI, and we're trying to get all the different races and all the different transgenders, and everybody and it's madness. And we take our eye off the ball, and we focus it on that. And then and we wonder why tragedy happens, because you have to be on top of everything when it comes to making sure that fires don't break out, making sure that you have water supply, making sure that the energy is there, that your lights turn on. All that stuff is really, really hard to do, and it takes all hands on deck. And when you shift focus from that to DEI, that's when you start getting problems. And that's when it's the same thing that's going on with the airlines right now. Why do we see all these issues happening? Is because it's years of neglect of the things that really matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we focus on just pleasing people instead of putting safety and just properness first, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it gets way out of hand, and I believe that's exactly why where we're at too. Yeah.
I'm looking at this phone right here, and for some reason, it's weirdly at 5% battery, even though it's plugged in. So I'm going to take a look at it. So
okay, no worries.
Oh, it's at 15. We'll be fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're getting close. We're at about an hour and a half. So, well, okay. So I want to get one last thing in here, and I want you to tell us about. You were at the inauguration.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell. And you were at the 2016-17 inauguration as well.
That was.
Talk to us a little bit about the difference between the two and your experiences there.
Oh, there was a vast difference. I'll start with the fact that unfortunately, for this last inauguration, they called it off being outside. They brought it into the rotunda of the Capitol building. Mm-hmm. Very limited amount of people. If you've seen, on TV, How many people in there? I don't know, maybe 500, 600. And I'm sure there were a lot of more powerful elite people closer to his cabinet and family and things of that sort. So just being a random citizen, I guess I'll call myself a random citizen in the United States of America, it's like an act of God to truly get into this year's inauguration, right? But you could be present, okay? So what happened was, let me go back to the first one now. So I flew in, and on 2017, it was January, I want to say 18th. I don't remember exactly what date I came in, but I was here for like 3 nights, and I was here for Trump's inauguration. And it was quite a vast difference. Oh my goodness. Here we are, we got Trump just came into the office. Nobody truly expected him to win, right? He wins. It caused just massive chaos and disruption throughout this country, everywhere. I mean, the amount of protesting going on and just chaos everywhere when he won the presidency was just outrageous. I mean, I think overnight this country lost billions in damage, just from the Democratic side just wanting to cause mayhem.
Yeah.
So fly out there, inauguration occurs. I get up early, get to the the Capitol where inauguration is going to occur, but there's just so many people. It was unreal. So I'm quite a ways back, but I could see Trump. I could see people up on the stage, but I'm quite a ways back. So we do all the inauguration real nice, and everything was a total success, and everyone's happy. We're all clapping. Everything's good. And then the day went on. Well, that weekend, there was a bunch of scheduled protests in Washington, D.C. because of his inauguration in 2017. You had the, I believe it was called the 500,000 Women's March. Then you just had a bunch of Antifa, BLM, just, I think, a lot of paid protesters and just a lot of violent people that came up for that weekend, right? The streets were absolutely mayhem. I mean, the amount, there was not a lot of Trump supporters hanging on the streets after the inauguration. The parade happened, and I watched part of the parade, and then everyone just started to disperse because of the amount of agitators there. I don't know. I'm not sure who I don't want to label them, but I'm assuming the BLM, the Antifa, and just whoever else. And it was just chaotic. They were beginning to cause damage to buildings. They were calling out and starting problems. A lot of us Trump supporters. They were smashing windows, burning freaking cars. SWAT team was on different parts of the roads. They were literally just everywhere causing chaos. So that weekend, that's all it was a lot of chaotic, a lot of aggressive behavior from people. And then the next night, that was the first night after the inauguration. Just people just in the streets everywhere, just protesting. And the next night was the Million Women's March. Still all those other protesters from the night before in the streets. Now you got over 500,000 women supposedly walking through the streets because they're very upset that Trump got in, because he's not really, he's anti-abortion, right? But he's certain reasons, right? I mean, at the end of the day, life of the mother is at stake. Yeah. Been raped, incest, things of that sort. Yeah. Abortion. He's okay with it in certain ways, but all these women, my body, my right, right? So they're walking through the streets. A lot of them had these ridiculous looking pink vagina hats on. I mean, it was seriously, it was the most dumbest thing. Yeah, I swear, I hope some of those people are watching this, because you guys look like fools. Anyway, it's just the most ridiculous demonstration of ignorance that I've ever seen. But anyway, so walking through the streets, and all these women, they're yelling, they're screaming, because I'm obviously I have my Trump stuff on, and there's still some Trump supporters around, but they're just causing massive agitation. That's all it was about, was causing chaos. The women were being violent. The men were being violent. I'm walking down the street, and I helped save a guy. Didn't even know it was going to happen. Happened really quickly. I'll tell a quick story. I'm walking down the street, and this is that type of stuff that was happening all weekend. I had so many little confrontations. It was unreal. I'm not trying to get in them. They just kept coming to me over and over and over, just because I was there supporting my president. So I'm walking down the street, and there's 2 gentlemen in front of me, and a guy comes running up in between me and my buddy on both sides of me, and he comes running up in between us. 2 guys in the front, us 3 in the back, and he runs up in the middle, and he's got the stick, and he's sizing this person up in front of me, right? And I'm walking, and I really don't know what's going on, because there's so much chaos and people screaming everywhere, and just people chanting, and it was just horrendous. And I'm walking, I'm watching this guy size up, and I'm watching him. And he does it again. And then he's taking the real swing. He steps into it and he's swinging as hard as he possibly can to take this guy's head off in front of me. And I happen to be right behind him. I didn't even think about it. It was just reaction. I didn't know. I didn't even know I was going to do this, but I did. I reached out as fast as I can to catch the stick as he was swinging it, taking the innocent guy in front of him, like literally going to take his head off. He's walking with some other guy. Grabbed that stick, and the stick ended up breaking in half from my force of grabbing it, and it broke in half. Next thing you know, I'm holding a piece of the stick in my hand. I'm sorry. Whoops. It was a long stick, though, real long. So I had a nice piece in my hand, and it kind of freaked me out that I had the stick in my hand. So I break it over my knee, right? Thank God that even broke over my knee, because I would have been standing like an idiot trying to break it up. It snapped. No, I had two pieces in my hand. So he turns around and looks at me, and we had a bit of a confrontation. I'm like, what? I asked him, what do you want to do here? I mean, here we are. You got your stick. I got mine. I mean, you were going to take the guy's head off. Where do you want to go with this? And my buddies kind of stepped up to each side of me. And thank God the guy thought about it and he ran off, right? Dropped his stick and just ran away. And I'm like, whoa, that was crazy. Because I didn't expect none of that to happen. It was just reaction, right? But that's the type of stuff that happened all weekend. It was crazy. It was just nuts.
So 2017 versus 2025 inaugurations, totally different.
Totally different. Whole time I was there for 2017, I go there to his inauguration. I had tickets to a standing room only in a certain area of the outside area. Got moved inside because of weather. They say, I believe it was because of security reasons, right? But total night and day difference. The camaraderie was beautiful. Everyone was energetic. Everyone just kept saying the same words. Life just feels better now. And I seen 10 protesters the entire time I was there, compared to over 1 million last time.
Yeah.
So a big change. They couldn't repeat what they did last time, right?
I think, just hearing that, I just get the sense that the truth is getting out.
Truth is getting out.
In 2016, when Trump won, the mainstream media still dominated the information game. They don't dominate the information game anymore. And so people are really starting to understand what's really going on. And I think that's the difference. I think we've deflated these organizations like BLM and Antifa by actually getting real information out there, and people are like, oh my gosh, I don't know, I just don't think that these guys are really legitimate or they're any good, and they just get deflated and they don't show up. There's 10 of them instead of 1 million of them in 2016.
Yeah,
seems to me
it was such a night and day difference, because I this time I actually brought the right clothes to wear. I was warmer. Figured I might be outside for long periods of time. And I'm expecting, I'm kind of going, okay, I'm going to have to deal with a bunch of protesters this weekend again, just because I want to go support my president. They're going to get in my face. They're going to yell. They're going to scream at me. They're going to have all their little signs. Nope, nothing.
It
Zero.
just felt
It was
like
absolutely crazy.
It's kind of like this big party. Like, I wasn't there, but you see it on social media and all over the place and different podcasts. It just felt like a big party, and everybody was happy. And there's still people screaming from the rafters, but it just felt like more and more people who aren't hardcore right, that are a lot of people in the center, even lefties, coming over and realizing that the media and the government has been lying to you for a long time, and Trump is the answer, at least for the next 4 years. And we deflated the guys like Antifa and BLM, and a lot of other people are seeing the light and saying, hey, this is an opportunity to make some serious change in this country after we've been through hell, because the government doesn't give a shit about Americans. They give a shit about themselves. And so I think Donald Trump is the change that everybody's waiting for.
I think people are willing to now, instead of listening to what the media had to state and just kind of running with their hate for Trump, I truly think a lot of people are saying, all right, let's see what this guy can do. Let's see what he can do before we make any decisions. Now let's see what he can do, and they're going to see what he can do.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I know there's a lot of talk about these tariffs and stuff, and I think the big question is, like, we're going to see. We don't know. There's so much speculation. Everybody's trying to come out and say this is what's going to happen. We don't know. But you know what? I think what ends up being the case is people have to trust the person they elected to, especially when it comes to the economy, to enact some things that are different. There's going to be some massive changes, and this is going to be one of them. I hope it completely reforms our tax system and our way of life, and we stop paying for everybody else's problems, and maybe other countries start paying for us, since we've been doing it for so long.
We subsidize so many other countries. I mean, there's people say, oh, the tariff's going to cause inflation. Look how much money America throws away every year You don't think that's not causing inflation? It's just nuts. I understand what he's trying to do here. I really do. And I think it's going to work. I mean, I don't see how it couldn't work.
I do too.
America is needed throughout the world, right?
We just need to change our whole tax system, and the way that the government takes advantage of its people through a tax system is so corrupt. It needs to be broken. And almost, I mean, again, this is a situation where we have to trust Trump to know that he understands how to make this change. It's a big change. People are going to be scared.
Oh, yeah.
But man, I'll tell you what, if you can reduce my tax burden to 10%, let's say, or whatever it is, and yeah, maybe there's a little inflation because, some tariffs, add some stuff. I'm okay with it. Get me out of the system where I'm sending money to politicians who do stuff with it that I have no interest in. They're sending money to places that are doing ridiculous things with. So I'm in favor of that. And so let's see how it goes. That's what I got to say. Let's see how it goes.
So far, it's already worked twice.
Yeah.
Columbia within 20 minutes.
No, that was a good one.
Changed their team.
Dude, I just got the biggest kick out of that. And then it's just how it's going to be.
Well, I just read this. We talked about it before you got here. And then literally right before you walked in, I was looking at, there's a post. We're going to pause the tariffs on Mexico because the Mexican president wants to negotiate now.
Oh, yeah. No, he's supposed to be talking to
much for retaliation.
Trudeau today at 3 p.m. I don't know what time that is, but but at the end of the day, 3 p.m. today, he's talking to Trudeau again because Canada's a massive problem. Yeah. They're a massive problem. Yeah. They got to get figured out here.
Yeah. And, he uses these. What people don't understand is he uses these as America has great leverage, and he uses these as leverage. He may not. The 25% tariffs may never really be enacted. He may lower them, but he's trying to scare them to get them to a position of negotiation. We've not been negotiating with anybody for so long. No. Everybody has just taken advantage of us. And now we're in a position where he wants to come to the table, rightfully so, as the powerhouses in the right position to negotiate for our people. And that's what I like. And so people are freaked out about the tariffs that they're going to turn into inflation. Maybe they will. I don't know. But we need a change. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah. So yeah, we've got a camera that went off, this camera here. For some reason it's
still good here.
Yeah, we're still good everywhere else. I'm not glad, but I'm interested to see what happens when one of the cameras go off. We still got the other cameras going. So, but we should wrap it up here. We've been at this almost approaching 2 hours. I just want to say thanks for having you come in, man. Like, you're such an interesting guy. Like, you have businesses, you're a successful business guy. You have an interesting history. You love the country. You love Trump, and I just love to see the passion. It's so fun to talk to someone who has so much passion about everything they do. So.
No, and I appreciate that a lot, man. I mean, meeting you guys has been great. I appreciate you guys, asking me to be on the show. I mean, I had a good time doing this. I really did. So
yeah, well, it was great. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
God bless. Thank you.
Okay, see you, buddy.
Thank you.
See you, everybody.